Hey, I'm Alita from Lily on the Thames, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a ceremony arrangement for your wedding. First, you're going to make sure that you have a vessel that you are going to put your arrangement in. These are our ceremony urns available on the Lily on the Thames website. And this is just a really pretty bucket full of water. Big thing you need to remember is it needs to fit your entire piece of foam or whatever size that you need it to be. The first step is going to be cut your foam to the size you need it for your vessel. So when I place it in here, I know it needs to be this wide by this deep by this height, and that's going to be where you cut it. So I'm going to place it in here. I know I want it to be just below or just above the line of the vase. I'm going to give it a cut with a knife, and that's what I'm going to use. So I know that's a good size. I've got it in my vessel here, and then once you are done cutting it to the size you need, all you need to do is drop it in your water and let it soak. Don't submerge it, don't touch it, wait for it to soak. It will turn dark green. And once the whole thing is dark green, then you can take it out, it takes about a minute, and place it in your vessel. All right, so once we have our soaked flower foam in our vessel, I recommend putting it in a smaller container and then placing it in the big one, because it'll just save you some extra flower foam and trying to make sure it doesn't wiggle around. So I also make sure that there's water in the actual vessel. So you're gonna wanna do this now so that you're not going around flowers later. All right, there's nothing in the bottom. You don't need anything in the bottom. I'm gonna place my flower foam and vessel in there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tape using waterproof floral tape, which is available in the supplies and tools kit on the website. And I'm just going to tape all that in there so that when you are transporting this to the ceremony or somewhere else, it's not going to topple over and the whole thing fall out. So make sure everything's dry so that the tape sticks. All right, so once we have everything taped in, we've got our soaked flower foam, we have some water in the vessel, now we can start building the arrangement. What you're gonna need to do is follow your recipe card from Lily on the Thames. It comes to you about a month before your wedding, and then you know exactly how many stems, how many bunches, how many flowers you need to make the arrangement. All right, so now we're ready to start building, and the first thing you're gonna use is your greenery. We're gonna build the size, the shape with the greenery, and then backfill with our flowers. So what you're gonna wanna do is imagine where you're putting this piece. Is it gonna be just looked at from the front? Is it gonna need to be pretty on all the sides? You're gonna need to gauge where your focus is going to be. Mine is gonna be a front-facing arrangement, so you are going to see where the piece is going to land. Any pieces you need to take off can be saved for boutonnieres or corsages or other items later, so you can just keep those. And then before you place anything in flower foam, you always give it a fresh cut and place it. So what I'm going to be doing now is building the size and the shape. And each time you put something in, greenery doesn't need to be in too far. It's not very heavy. Something a little heavier might need to be a little bit further into the foam. So I'm gonna turn it around, I'm gonna fill in with some stuff, and then I'm gonna turn it to show you how I've done that. All right, so I've built the size and the shape using my greenery. I can still see in it, I can still see that grid made of tape, I can still see some mechanics are showing, but that's okay because you're going to use a lot of flowers in here and you're going to not see it once the whole arrangement is done. All right, so see, I've built the shape, I've fanned it down so you've got a gradual waterfall look there, and I've made sure the sides are pretty filled out as well. It's not overly filled in, but it does give you a good sense of how much product that you're going to need to use. And on the back side here, I'm just going to make sure that you don't see the tape, and that's all you really need to do for the back side if you're not going to be looking at it. So that's what it looks like from the side. And now I'm going to add my secondary greenery. So your secondary greenery will be another greenery that just doesn't show it just doesn't fill the same amount of area. The secondary greenery lets you just kind of add some more color and texture to your arrangement. I'm using True Blue Eucalyptus here. And just placing it in a few spots to give that nice textured look. And I'm just placing just slightly into that flower foam, and see how it just changes the look and feel of it just with that little bit more texture and color. I think I only need a couple more pieces here. You can always manipulate your greenery too, not always, but if your piece allows for it, just adding that little bend will be really pretty. Take a step back, have a look, see what it needs. I'm pretty happy with how that greenery looks. I can stop there. I don't want to overfill it because I want room for my flowers still to go in there. So now we have our greenery and we are going to put in our flowers now. So you want your flowers to be showing. You don't want them too deep in the greenery. You want it to be light and airy and give each flower lots of space. So the big thing to remember is giving a fresh cut each time you're going to place a flower into the foam. And here's another tip. If you take it out, you have to give it another fresh cut and put it in a new hole. You cannot put it back to where you originally had it because it won't get the water it needs from that foam. All right. So first I'm going to work with my carnations here. You can start with whatever flower makes you happy. Most of our ceremony packages include roses and carnations. Everything with flower arranging, in my opinion, starts out as a hot mess and by the end looks beautiful. I don't like it. And you're going to find that you want to change things too, and that's totally normal and okay. So far, this is what we've got going on. So it looks a little sparse, but see how I'm just trying to splay out and make all my flowers have a lot of room to bloom and look their best. Make sure you take a step back, look at it from different angles, and that's what's going to make it look the prettiest. All right, so now I'm going to add my roses. Make sure you give each one a fresh cut before you put it in. And make sure each flower has lots of room, that it's not squished up to the one next to it. These roses are pretty new, so I'm going to just peel back the petals and make it a little bit bigger. As long as you really are gentle with it, it really adds a lot of prettiness to each rose and volume. So how different does that look? How beautiful. And then I give it a fresh cut, and then I put it in my arrangement. So I'll show you where I'm at so far. Just adding a couple roses really makes a big difference. And I'm gonna keep going, following the recipe from Lily on the Thames. It tells you exactly how many flowers, what kind of flowers to use for each arrangement. Imagine what angle it's gonna be looked at. So is it going to be on the ground? Should most of my flowers be looking down? Is it going to be up high, maybe on pillars? Then most of your flowers would be in the eyesight range. So just make sure you're thinking about where this is being placed, and that's where you can get the most out of your flowers. These arrangements are great to make about 1 to 2 days before the wedding. Since they're in a water source, you can get away with it a little bit earlier than say a boutonniere, which is not in water. Here's where we're at so far. And I'm seeing some gaps in the greenery, so I'm gonna go back and fill that in. I just think it looks a little empty near the top. So I'm just gonna fill that out. And that made a big difference just with those 2 pieces there. And now I'm gonna work on the bottom. Then I'm gonna get down on a different angle so that I see where I'm placing it. And you always want something connecting the flowers and the greenery to the vessel. So something in that sight line to just connect the two and make it look really cohesive. So that's what I'm doing here with these lower flowers. You do not want to see any of the tape by the time you're done. That's the goal. So all you need is a couple low-lying pieces to cover that up. All right, I'm happy with the greenery, the fullness, the areas that my flowers are in, and I'm excited to place this at the end of the aisle where people are coming into the wedding. I think it'll be beautiful there. This is how you make a ceremony arrangement. So all the flowers, greenery, and tools that you need to accomplish this look are available at our website, lilyontheThames.ca, and we ship Canada-wide florist-grade flowers, arrangement recipes, and video tutorials. So all you need is a glass of wine, a couple friends, and I'll take care of the rest.